assess, assess, assess. Let's break down the word assess. It's a verb, which means it shows action. And in this case, it typically means to make an evaluation or judgment of something, such as a person's skills, abilities, or work. In common usage, you might hear someone say, "I need to assess my students' understanding of the material before we move on," or, "The teacher will assess your performance based on the test scores." It's also often used in more formal settings like business or education, where someone might need to assess a situation or make a decision about something. One special note is that when using assess, you're usually looking for information or a conclusion. Rather than simply observing or watching, it implies a level of evaluation or judgment is being made. In formal settings, you might say, "The university's assessment team will review the student's performance over the past semester to determine eligibility for graduation." This sentence is suitable in an academic context where the institution needs to evaluate students' progress. Moving on. In casual conversations, someone might remark, "I've been trying to assess whether that new restaurant in town is any good, but I haven't had a chance to try it yet." This example illustrates how people often discuss and evaluate experiences or decisions with friends and family. On the other hand, in business or academic contexts, you might say, "Our team will conduct an internal assessment of the marketing strategy's effectiveness before presenting our findings to stakeholders." In this case, professionals are using formal language to convey a sense of thorough evaluation and analysis. So you want to know what assess means? Well, let me tell you, it's basically about making an opinion or judgment about something based on your knowledge or information. When we say someone has been asked to assess a situation, it means they're being asked to look at all the details and come up with a conclusion or decision about what might happen or how things are doing. You can think of it like taking a test in school. You're not just memorizing facts, but also using them to answer questions and figure out what the answers mean. In everyday life, assessing something is similar to evaluating, judging, or making an opinion about it, but assess is more formal and often used in official or professional contexts, like in business or education. So, when someone asks you to assess a situation, they want you to think critically and come up with a well-informed conclusion. Assume, assume, assume. So, when we talk about the word assume, it's essential to know that it's a verb, which means it's an action word. In common usage, assume typically means to take something for granted or to believe something is true without having any proof or evidence. For example, if someone says, "I assume you've seen the movie," and they haven't actually checked with you, they're taking it for granted that you've watched it. This can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. So it's crucial to use this word carefully in conversations. One special note about the usage of assume is that when we say someone has assumed a responsibility, it means they've taken on or accepted that task, often without being told to do so. Let's look at some examples of how to use the word assume in different contexts. In formal writing or speaking, such as in an academic paper or lecture, we might say, "It is essential to assume a critical perspective when analyzing complex data, as this allows for a more nuanced understanding of the research findings." This example illustrates how assume can be used to convey a sense of necessary consideration or approach. In contrast, in casual conversation with friends, you might say, I assumed you were already eating. That's why I didn't invite myself over for dinner. Here, assume is used in the context of making an assumption about someone's actions or intentions based on limited information. Finally, in a business setting, such as a meeting or presentation, we might use the phrase, "We will assume a 10% increase in sales revenue for next quarter," and plan our marketing strategy accordingly. In this example, assume is used to indicate a hypothetical scenario or prediction that serves as a basis for decision making. So you're trying to get a better sense of what assume means. Well, basically, when we say that someone assumes something, it means they take for granted or consider something to be true without actually knowing if it's really so. It's like making an educated guess, but not necessarily based on facts. They might think they know how things work or what someone else is thinking, even if they don't have all the information. This can sometimes lead to misunderstandings or problems down the line. Authority. 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 Let's talk about the word authority. So, authority is a noun, which means it refers to a person or organization that has power or control over something, like laws, rules, or decisions. In everyday usage, you'll often hear people say things like, "The authorities are investigating this case," or, "I think my teacher's authority on the subject is unmatched," meaning they respect and trust their knowledge. It's also common to see authority used in phrases like "in authority," which means holding a position of power, such as being a boss or a government official. One special thing to keep in mind when using this word is that it can sometimes sound formal or even a bit old-fashioned, so you might not use it as often in informal conversations with friends. But in writing, like in essays or reports, authority can be a great way to show that you respect and trust the opinions of others. In a formal setting, such as a courtroom or official announcement, you might say, "The judge has the authority to preside over this trial." Here, the word is used to describe someone's power or right to make decisions. In contrast, in casual conversation with friends, you could mention that your friend has authority over the TV remote because they're paying for it. This month, this usage highlights their control and decision-making power in a specific context. For example sentences, consider using, "The CEO of the company has been given authority to negotiate with potential investors." Here, the word is used in a business or academic setting to describe someone's power and responsibility within an organization. So, you're trying to learn about this concept that's really important in many areas of life. It refers to a person or institution who has the power and right to make decisions, give instructions, and be obeyed by others. They have a certain level of credibility and trustworthiness, which is built over time through their expertise, experience, and reputation. This person or institution is often recognized as having this special role, whether it's in government, education, medicine, or even online communities. When you think about it, they're like the go-to people who others rely on for guidance, advice, or direction. They help keep things running smoothly and ensure that rules, laws, or best practices are followed. Some similar concepts to this idea include experts, leaders, or officials, basically anyone who's been given a position of responsibility and is trusted to make decisions that affect others. Does that make sense?